Evening, guys. So we're getting ready to put the wheel back on. Got our new tire installed, and you know, this is going to be a really short video, but I wanted to say a few things about axles and grease and kind of when you put everything back together. So on the front of a Himalayan, you have your wheel assembly, and it's going to go like this in here. It's going to sit with the brake disc, okay, on the left side of the rider, facing forward. And the axle is going to come in from this side, okay, pokes in through there. There's going to be a spacer on this side with the brake disc, looks like this. When you change your anything, you change a tire, anytime the axle comes out, take a second, clean any debris out of there, any kind of dirt or dust or something like that. Don't use any solvent. You don't want to get solvent into the bearing, but just a nice dry cloth, clean it up. And when you get everything out of there, no more debris, I like to put a nice layer of grease on the seal itself, and then push some into the lip, so that when you push this spacer in there, and you can see I have a little grease on that, when you push this spacer in there, it's going to make a nice grease seal. Not only is that going to help you because this piece is going to stay, but some good quality grease, thick, waterproof, like Bel-Ray waterproof grease, that's going to prevent any water ingress in there as this thing goes. It's just going to prevent any kind of debris, water, dust from getting in there. And it's true, as you ride, this is going to get dirty. There's going to get some dust on there. That's fine. This is especially important if you're a person who does water crossings, okay? If you seal that up with some grease, grease isn't going to hurt your bearing. Too much grease isn't going to hurt your seal. Water getting in there is going to hurt the bearing. Water getting in there past the seal is what's going to cause it to fail. So anyway, anytime you can give it a little bit of help. Okay, same thing on this side. I've got everything cleaned out of here. This is where the speedometer goes, and I've got the bearing surface covered in a nice layer of grease, and some grease right here along where the axle is going to go in. I also have grease on the front of the axle, more than is ever going to be needed, and I've greased the axle with a light film. The light film on the axle is just to prevent corrosion, okay, if water were to get in there, and the grease on the end of here, we're going to wipe that off mostly after it goes through. But you put it on the end of the axle as it goes in, and it pushes the grease through and greases the insides of the bearings themselves as it goes in there, okay? And that's how you do it. You just want to make sure that all those areas are greased and sealed so that when you put this thing together, it's going to last you a long time. Honestly, if people just pulled this axle out every like 2,000–3,000 miles, okay, every oil change, and you just pull the axle out, it takes like 2 minutes on this bike. Pull it out, clean out the bearing area, re-grease that seal, right? And in case that the grease has kind of worn over time, especially if you're riding off-road, especially if you're doing water crossings, I feel people's bearings would probably last a lot longer than they do. It's just preventing that initial water getting in there is what you want to do, and that's going to help out. Make sure you don't fail your bearings when you're out there in the middle of nowhere. And if you're going to go riding into the middle of nowhere, like legitimate middle of nowhere, having an extra set of bearings doesn't hurt. Anyway, we're going to put the bike back together now, go for a test ride, but axles, bearings, don't forget to grease them, okay, even if they're sealed.